My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca Jorge, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jaime Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paulini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Well, hello guys. Actually, I am like a minute late because as it turns out, they are really like rushing between the matches here. Of course, I also just like finished an entire night of being on and off asleep. But basically, we are going to watch Joao Fonseca's first round of qualifying match against Federico Agustin Gomez. We'll see if it's a particularly interesting one. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure on Joao to qualify right now. Basically, everybody is expecting it, and you're just thinking, well, I mean, he won the Canberra Challenger, he won the Next Gen Finals. This should be almost easy for him, but it's never really all that easy in Grand Slam qualifying. I'm gonna put some, the score for you on the screen in a second as well. Sorry, that's some advertisement. Anyway, I'm just only putting on the stream right now. For some reason, I thought it was gonna last like 5 more minutes, maybe the break between the previous match and this. The previous match was Carlos Taberner against Edward Winter. This is the 1573 arena, whatever that means. Anyway, there's already breakpoint for Fonseca in the opening game. Federico Agustin Gomez on top of the point, though. Really controlling it with his forehand. There's a net court that should kind of help Fonseca, maybe. And indeed it does. Joao has to come up with a pretty quick, inventive shot, forehand slice. But then Federico Agustin Gomez also has no idea what to do with this. And decides to play a drop shot, I think. But it was, such a weird attempt that it's actually quite unclear what he was aiming to do. So it's an early break for Fonseca here. The best start he could have hoped for, obviously. Well, Federico Agustin Gomez, if you want to know anything about his game, I mean, he's kind of a ball basher. Like when he's feeling confident, he's never really going to be on the defense. He's just like constantly on the, has the upper hand and crushes every single shot, even when he's a little behind in the point. Great, like open stance, counters, but generally, just a ton of power, very strong in terms of like the legs, the quads, which also shows up in his game considerably. When he's on, he's like really on. And that's why some people think that today he will be able to trouble Fonseca. It's possible, I suppose. As I said, I mean, there's definitely a lot of pressure on Joao right now. And if he's unable to like kind of live up to the hype at the moment, if he's maybe unable to keep up physically because he's had a couple of very tough weeks, right? Well, actually, maybe next gen finals, then a week of break, but then Canberra, and of course, every single match he played in Canberra was pretty quick. But still, I mean, you can imagine a scenario where Joao is a little tired after all this. But if that's not the case, we'll see. At least Federico Agustin Gomez is someone who can like challenge him in the sense that yes, he has the weapons, the offensive power to make Joao struggle for balls at least a little bit. The score should be on the screen in just a brief moment. Give me one more second to cover that. Okay, here and here. We should probably have this on now. Yes, indeed. Maybe I will enlarge this even more. But yeah, you have this, not now, but you have the scoreboard from the Australian Open website now. So
thanks for tuning into this watch along. While there's a break in play, here's a reminder to hit the like button, subscribe, and click that notification bell. Your support helps to keep the channel going. While we're here, you can now become a member to enjoy perks including badges for the live chat, but also bonus material such as interviews with top players from both ATP and WTA tours. The membership link is pinned in the live chat. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. So whether it be serves or volleys, forehands or backhands, serve bots or drop shots, we've got you covered, whether that be via our website, talking-tennis.com, where you can read features and interviews from our top writers. Or if you prefer us in audio form, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Amazon or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts from. Remember, we offer you wall-to-wall coverage via our regular watch-alongs, magazine shows such as Nick's WTA Weekly or Damien and Mario's ATP version. Plus, we deliver top content from people on the ground, actually at the tournaments, so you get even nearer to the action. So, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Of course, when that match was like kind of beginning, we were thinking, well, I mean, Opelka, it's a decent matchup, right? I mean, a serve bot generally always just makes it a bit of a lottery. So maybe Federico Agustin Gomez can make the upset, but then it turned out that Opelka had made that jump during the off season and was playing super well there. So that loss for Gomez without getting to a tiebreak against Opelka looks a lot better in hindsight than it did last week. Of course, it's a massive day at Australian Open qualifying because yesterday it was raining, so some matches were delayed. I think yesterday 46 of the initially scheduled 64 were completed, but that's no problem because today the weather was clear the entire time, and I think it's also supposed to be clear the entire time the next 2 days. So everything should be easy to make up for. By the way, the second round opponent for one of these players, already we know that it's going to be Coleman Wong. He defeated Dmitry Popko 7-5, 3-6, 7-5. Personally, I think Coleman probably has a weaker chance to win against Fonseca than Popko, but we'll see. But also, Federico Agustin Gomez has already defeated Joao Fonseca in South America last year. I think it was the Santiago Challenger. Well, we'll see if that actually matters in any way. We know that Fonseca at this stage of his career is like improving rapidly, almost with every week, every month. But there could be like, right now because Popko lost, but there was the story is kind of out. But there was this incredible possibility where like Fonseca could play Gomez, Popko, and Choinski, and all of them beat him last year. But that's not going to happen. And by the way, we have our first moment of magic as Federico Agustin Gomez hits this like jumping smash. Fonseca is with his back to the court, able to play this very weird shot. Yeah, it's a jumping smash. Fonseca with his back to the court is able to like somehow pick it up and lob the Argentinian, eventually taking the point. So that's already a bit of a crazy shot. Reminds me of the Sinner-Medvedev highlight, if you remember, from I think their very first meeting in Marseille, 2020. Or maybe it was the round earlier for Sinner. No, I think it was the Sinner-Medvedev match there, where Yannick, I think, took the opening set 6-1, but then lost the next two. Anyway, there's some crushing, just power from Federico Agustin Gomez in this game. Already a couple of these forehands that even Fonseca is just unable to do anything about. Generally speaking, defensively, Fonseca, I guess, isn't the best player in the world yet, but he is pretty fast. He is pretty quick. He is athletic. But when Gomez is hitting bombs like this, there's not that much you can do. Of course, the Argentinian is looking for his first game here. He is a very naturally confident player, so I don't think he's going to be scared of Fonseca in any way. He knows how to kind of just set these feelings away, I think, and then play his game. He literally always plays his game, so it's probably not going to be too much of an issue for him to kind of just adapt to the fact that everybody is expecting him to lose. But we'll see. It's an early break for the Brazilian, but now Gomez has a game on the board, and should be pressuring Fonseca at least a little bit in this one, I think. Of course, it's not been, it's very possible for the Brazilian not to get through this qualifying draw. We haven't really had a favorite like this in Grand Slam qualifying, I think, for a while, to this extent. But, it happens. Today, Alicia Parks lost, so it's like the second time at the Australian Open already. She was, she was the top seed. She was the kind of like the star of the qualifying and doesn't make it, so it's possible. She definitely has less kind of like, margin for error and less of a floor than Fonseca, but it's not like it can't happen. We're going to be restarting after the changeover soon. Joao Fonseca about to serve at 2-1 up Christian Rusk in the chair. We'll mention some other matches as well, definitely. And if you want to talk about any other result from today that surprised you or any performance that was, just impressive, definitely fire away in the chat. Try to get to everything, and probably will mention some of the matches going on live right now at some point. There's a lot of like hype and social media buzz about Fonseca, which is kind of why we're doing this match. And I think even like his opening round, when you that it's gonna be a big story regardless if the match is easy or not. At the moment, we have 6 men's singles qualifying matches on the court. Fonseca, by the way, with some great serving this game, should be able to get this point too. He has to go to the net. Oh, there's some interesting call here. I'm not really sure what it is about. Gomez is talking to the umpire. I'm watching this on mute since it will be pretty tough for me to hear it anyway while talking to you guys. Yeah, I'm not sure what it's about. Gomez seems to be the one who's like, displeased with the decision. So I guess he lost the point. I mean, he lost the point anyway. There was a net court. Fonseca went to the net and wrapped it up. So yeah, I really don't know what happened. But yeah, also some very good serving in this game so far from the Brazilian. We've got Kepfer against Buse on the court. That's the top seed of the qualifying, obviously. That should be pretty fun. Mejia against Hassan, De Jong and Dugas in the first set tiebreak. We've got Tito Androge up a set on Jan Choinski, and then in the third set already, Thiago Agustin Tirante and Yuri Rodionov. As I mentioned earlier, Coleman Wong already awaiting the winner of this match. I think Popko would have been slightly more difficult for Fonseca if Fonseca is to prevail, just because he's more like grindy and relentless. Well, seems to be some issue maybe like with the calling system. I don't know, but what's happening right now is that the umpire is talking to somebody on the walkie-talkie. So I guess it's probably about that. I don't know. Very tough to say. Of course, the women's qualifying is also on. Some big upsets today, like Kornieva losing to Errani from a setup. But that's actually a match I slept through in its entirety, so can't really comment on that. The only pole in women's singles qualifying, Maja Chwalinska is up a set on Salkova right now. Obviously, if you want to talk about any Auckland or Adelaide matches, I'm up for that too. I'm keeping an eye on Aslan Karatsev in Nontaburi as well, as he's in the third set of Jan Bai, but we are finally back in play. Joao Fonseca, 2-1, 40 love. It was a very good service game so far. Now he's going to have to play a second serve point. And you can see Federico Agustin Gomez is instantly on it. He decides to run around, tries to crush a return down the middle, but it's going to be long. So it's a good start for Fonseca as he's 3-1 up and definitely serving well thus far. That's something that has truly improved, but massively in Fonseca's game, I think, over the past even month or so. The serve and return floor, they seem very high right now. and kind of make you think that even if he has a weaker performance somewhere, because he hasn't had one since the beginning of the Next Gen Finals, he might just like pull through purely based on that right now he is getting 3 points that he wasn't in the past. But we'll see. There's an ace from Gomez here to kick off the next game. Well, if they keep serving like this, then maybe that opening break will be quite pivotal. But this of the second serve of the Argentinian, Fonseca is already able to put just a little bit more pressure on him. Very nice compact swing with the backhand. It's pretty deep, and it's enough to make the Argentinian miss his first shot. Yeah, that ace to begin the game was really good, but it seems like the serving rhythm of Gomez will still be improving throughout the match. Some of them are just kind of like landing middle of the court, middle of the net at the moment. And there's also a double fault from him here. You can see he's quite the character too. He's like very expressive, and obviously right now what he's expressing are not positive emotions, given that he just double faulted. That's better though. He has that setup for the inside in forehand and does it beautifully. Fonseca's backhand return was quite loopy and high here. Gomez had the advantage of being able to wait around and see where Fonseca goes. And he chooses right, as the Brazilian was waiting in his backhand corner. So 30 all, 5 winners for Fonseca so far, 4 for the Argentinian. Who's up in the next point as well, has Fonseca slicing and plays a beautiful short angle forehand to clean up the point. Of course, the slice from Fonseca was pretty short, but that's a really good way of just putting it away, making sure that the point is over right here. Nice replay as well, as we see him just kind of locking in on that shorter ball. And can he claim his second game of the match? Ooh, was trying to give the ball to the ball kid, just kind of lob it to her so that she catches it in the air, but that's not. She didn't manage to. Anyway, he's also gonna be controlling the next point. However, there's lots of depth from Fonseca here down the middle of the court. So let's see if Gomez can keep up. Well, he couldn't, and the moment he was forced to raise the ball a little bit, add that extra height, but not in a, let's say, an involuntary manner, because Fonseca was just pressuring him down the middle. You can see how quickly the Brazilian just kills the point with the next forehand cross-court. One neutral ball, and that's kind of over. So, you can see the danger that Fonseca is producing right now in rallies like this. And this is another very nice combination from him. Just the first opportunity he gets to strike, he pounces on the forehand line, and the rest of the point is kind of an afterthought. It's like two more shots, but for the rest of the point, he's just like exploiting the advantage he had already built up. Pretty nice backhand line though. So it's a breakpoint for Fonseca to go 2 breaks up and to play a pretty scary first 5 games, let's just say. Second serve for Gomez, so that could be tricky. The clock on the court is broken. It's still saying 9 minutes, interestingly. Well, can Gomez survive this game? So far, yes. There's a backhand cross-court trade, and Fonseca decides to go for a slice, but it's going to be a bit of a floater. And obviously it goes long. Gomez trying to switch to backhand line here, but the direction is way off. So one more breakpoint for Fonseca, who's putting a lot of pressure on him so far. 8 unforced errors coming off the Argentinian's racket, 4 from Fonseca. Of course, Gomez is seeded. He is seeded 29 in the 29th in the qualifying. Fonseca right now is higher ranked, but the draw was made on Sunday, so it was using the rankings before Joao won the Canberra title. Still, Gomez survives though. He takes the second break point. It's like a pretty mid-length rally. Gets some nice spin on the forehand there. Also, depth at the middle of the court. Fonseca is like in two minds what to do with it. Eventually, he just nets that backhand. So 2 breakpoints saved by Gomez as he's trying to probably just, stay in the set, right? I mean, 2 breaks up for Fonseca here would kind of feel like the end of it. But one of them is, of course, still very achievable. It's not like last week Fonseca was, well, he was unplayable for the most part, but it's not like he didn't have any dips, especially against Ajdukovic and Mayo. There were these second sets that, well, maybe it's a stretch to say they could have gone either way, but they certainly weren't all that easy. And they featured a lot of breaks. So it's not a given that one break would just give him the set right there. Anyway, that's a pretty spectacular point. I honestly thought Gomez won it, but it seems like Joao just made the line with this forehand passing shot on the run. Yeah, I'd like to see like a close call, like what they show sometimes of the electronic line calling, because like from just watching it, it seemed to me like it might be long. Anyway, it is in play, but Gomez hits an unreturned serve at Fonseca's backhand side, trying to block the return Fonseca, but he's unable to. His block return actually was pretty solid against Jacob Fernley in Canberra last week in the semifinals, mostly of the forehand side, but it was another one of these like kind of points that made that much so easy for him. Trading cross-court forehands now. Fonseca is really on the move here. And he's able to produce another unpleasant backhand pass. I think Gomez could have done a little bit better, definitely. But the approach shot wasn't perfect. Gomez is a very solid doubles player too. So, if we see him at the net, generally speaking, he should look a bit more comfortable than this. But now already 2 passing shots in this game for Fonseca that won him the point. The first one being definitely much more special than this one, but this one does the trick too. And you can see the recovery from the previous backhand open stance. Like that's just, that's just the modern version of a tennis player in a way. The sinner way to play. Anyway, Gomez just trying to blast his second serve here. No, maybe not blasted the Pechi Pericard fashion, but definitely was going for it down the tee, and he's missing that serve. So it's a third breakpoint for Fonseca after a double fault from the Argentinian. It's been an uphill battle so far for Gomez. He goes at the body of Fonseca, and it does the trick. Sets him up with like a lot of timing advantage for the +1 ball. He plays a smart shot as well. Lots of again high quality spin into the Fonseca backhand corner. Joao isn't on the stretch. He's doing excellent so far, but sometimes in these sort of little defensive plays, he might actually still struggle a little bit. Once more, I really like how Gomez is delaying the strokes here. It just feels like whenever Fonseca is that much behind after the serve, it's just going to be very tough, because you can see how Gomez easily switches to the inside in here, again with so much spin actually, and then gets to the net to put the ball away. So a game point for him. I think this game must be lasting like 10 minutes by now. And of course, it's really important for him to win it. Gonna approach again. This time it's deep enough that even though Fonseca seems to have the line for an open stance backhand pass, this time he won't be able to make it. So it's 3-2. And yeah, it's a massive, massive moment for Gomez that he stays just one break behind here. 27 minutes in. So yeah, this was a very long game for sure. Karatsev has just broken, so it looks like he will be moving on in Nontaburi, but he's not too. I mean, yeah, he's just not looking that good physically this time. It's kind of wild that Aslan Karatsev, of course, isn't playing the Australian Open, considering he was the semi-finalist of this event just 4 years ago. But, there were some injuries, and of course, he's a very erratic player. Given the quality that he played at last week in Nontaburi, I think he really could dominate the field this time also. But, well, it's also going to depend on his physicality. There's a man with a Brazilian flag there, so there's some support for Fonseca, even though we're obviously not on his continent, and we're not on Gomez's continent either. Buse up an early break on Kepfer. That's pretty interesting, even though Kepfer has been out of rhythm. De Jong won the opening set against Aziz Dugas, who's kind of a friend of the show. Well, I think we can call him a friend of the show. And then Hassan is also up a set on Mejia. Tirante just defeated Rodionov 6-4 in the third. And let's go. Joao Fonseca serving at 3-2. Starts with a double fault. It's the first one of the match for the Brazilian. Gomez with 2, I think both in the previous game, but he still, of course, managed to save 3 breakpoints and survive. $15-all, Fonseca going for this. Basically, he just had to stay deep and into the middle here, not to allow Gomez any opportunity to attack. The Argentinian tries to look for something, but eventually nets the forehand. But of course, some of these trades here are very impressive from both players in terms of the speed, the athleticism, even the timing. It's a good serve again from the Brazilian to give him 40-15. I think Gomez is again displeased about something. Maybe he thought it was a let. I don't know. And that's another unreturned serve, and this is kind of what I was talking about, right? So many games for Fonseca look like this right now, and that's something he wasn't really able to rely on before. He always had a decent serve, like these first appearances that we got from him in, let's say, 2022, when he beat Navone and Tirante on the way to Sao Leopoldo quarterfinals, for example. Like, he was already serving pretty well there, and he knew how to set up the first forehand after that. But obviously, like, the spot serving and the pace, they are still improving. And it seems like recently that's just really it's been a big leap for Fonseca recently. So that's why maybe that floor of his game has really risen so much the last month or so. And if he just keeps rolling through his service games, that's what can give him like a real advantage here against Gomez, who obviously has weapons himself, and if you allow him that opportunity to get some neutral balls to attack you at least a little bit, it might get in trouble. Absolutely. Anyway, for Fonseca, there's a deep return. Gomez is like again in two minds, trying to think whether he should run around or not. Eventually just is a half a step late. Gomez trying to serve and volley, but there's that forehand block return from Fonseca that I was talking about. It dips really low, and it just makes it so tough for the Argentinian to play anything here. So 15-30 as he is currently in trouble again. Fonseca going for a big forehand line, and what a lovely shot it is. 15-40. 2 more break points. Everything was right about this. The line, the spin again, just rolling the ball right inside the court. It's not really like a forehand slap that he sometimes can produce. There's a ton of topspin in this, but spotting the opportunity and then executing it to perfection. And now 2 break points. Second serve for Gomez. He's winning 38% of his second serve points. So let's see if he wins this one. Fonseca slicing to his forehand and tries to kind of like do that, combination of slice and then setting up for a big shot himself. But this time the winner attempt of the forehand crosscourt is way long. So 1 more break point for him, as Gomez is kind of once again struggling to stay alive and keep himself within touching distance in this opening set. And indeed, that's precisely what he does, as he hits a good serve and then a +1 forehand into the backhand corner of Fonseca. Nothing you can do there, especially as you can see on the replay. It was very close to the line. So it's been a really good sort of like last few minutes in terms of clutchness from Gomez. He's saving all of these breakpoints. Oh, wow. That's a very cool backhand slice pass from Gomez. You could see that like Fonseca is pretty close to the ball, but still it was like rolling and spinning in very, uncontrollably, I would say. So certainly a very nice way of getting out of this pickle for the Argentinian. And he now has a game point for his effort. Karatsev got broken when serving for the match, so still not out of the woods there, and he's really struggling physically. Very nice counter from Fonseca, but I love that half volley by Gomez. It wins him the point, it wins him the game, and still, he's still just 1 break. You still cannot grant this set to the youngster, even though he's had so many chances. Gomez is in this game. Gomez is in this set still, and will be hoping to try to look for some first breakpoints or any tougher game on the Fonseca serve after the changeover. Pretty long set already. I think it looks like this match won't be about 75 minutes long, probably. Just like all Fonseca matches were in Canberra. It might be a bit longer than this. Although, he takes these breakpoints, at least in one of these games, and probably we're talking about a different scenario, right? But, it is what it is. He's going to have to keep holding now. What else do we have in the qualifying right now? Titu Androge, 2 match points against Jan Choinski. They are on return though, so we'll see. De Jong won that opening set against Dugas, but is now 0-3 down in the second set. We've got Lestien and Kopshiva beginning their match as well. And Buse took the opening set against Kepfer 6-2. Is there anything... Oh, that's an interesting question from Sean. Is there anything that you think Fonseca can do better than Sinner and Alcaraz? I don't know if better, but I think he's a very nice combination of their assets in many ways. Like, he's definitely a little closer to Sinner, I believe. But, just in terms of like the acceleration, the footwork in the backhand corner, also just probably even... Well, playstyle is, probably even playstyle. But he also has a lot of the Alcaraz like special touch and magic. Like, he's not quite as percentage oriented, I would say, as Yannick's game has become, which also could be sort of something that his game goes into as it develops, right? But I think Fonseca is like a very good representation of what a modern tennis player is. And maybe in that sense, he doesn't have anything that he's better at than Sinner or Alcaraz, but he's a very nice combination of their assets. That's maybe what I would say. I think if you're thinking of like a modern tennis player, you're thinking of Fonseca. Like it's the standard, really. And that's something that could really, be massive in the future. That's for sure. It's a bit of an era-defining playstyle. Obviously, to actually be an era-defining player, you have to just go to insane heights. So Sinner and Alcaraz have already done that, right? I mean, they are generational talents, era-defining players in a way. Fonseca, of course, we still kind of like are, well, we know that he has the potential, but we don't know if he will realize it. That's never really that obvious. But yeah, to me, he's just maybe like a very good combination of some of their best assets, even if generally speaking, he's definitely closer to Sinner. Compared to Sinner, though, I mean, at this stage of his progress, yeah, I mean, some of the things that Yannick had to learn in terms of the transition game, just overall creativity in play, like Fonseca already has that, right? So he maybe somewhat has the freedom of Alcaraz alongside the violent acceleration that Sinner has, the open stance backhand footwork that Sinner has. So yeah, maybe that's kind of what I would say. But I would think at this point of his career, it's pretty tough to say that there's something that he does better than Carlos or Yannick. They are just like far too much, too far ahead in their development to really say that he's better at something. Anyway, that service game was quick. And speaking of quick service games, this one for Gomez also looks really, really snappy. He is asking the crowd for some applause after going 40 love up with an ace. But, these last two games, like we haven't even had anything to talk about. We kind of do now. 40 love, Gomez goes for his drop shot, and Fonseca is there with the lunging backhand, which is actually really good. Of course, Gomez goes for his drop shot only because it's 40 love. Like, you never really make that play in any other instance, I think, here. So let's see if it comes back to bite him or if it's just going to be a quick game. Yeah, I mean, these two games were just rapid. So, well, that's, I guess, good for Fonseca that we're maintaining the status quo, because that means after the changeover, he's going to be serving for the set. Still just one break advantage. So that's something that Gomez definitely has to be proud of this set, that he was able to save all these break points. But now, it's crunch time. Now he has to break back if he is to stay in this. What else do we have here? De Jong actually 0-5 down in the second set against Dugas by now. And Vatanuki against Serundolo started already as well. We've got one more match only that's not on the court yet in the men's singles. That's Goyo against Skatov. And in the women's qualifying, we still have two more matches that haven't begun. That's Shi against Teichmann and Zakharova against Okamura. I saw there were also some comments. Oh, Happy New Year as well, Lexi, to you. There were some comments from Parks, Parks. I would say from Ashley, but she was talking about Parks. Yeah, I mean, Parks just did it again, right? When she had that big rise in the December 125s in 2 years ago, was it? Yeah, in 2022. And then she comes into the Australian Open 2023. Everybody's expecting her to qualify, and she makes 70 unforced errors against Sarah Bailey. Like that was, again, like literally the same. So, well, Parks outdoors is such a hit or miss player. Parks indoors is also hit or miss, but considerably less. And I hope that somehow she figures it out. Maybe Jeremy Chardy, who's now apparently working with her, is gonna like be able to teach her that a little bit. he wasn't the most consistent player, obviously. He just had a big forehand and he knew how to use it. But it seems like with Ugo Umbert's game, he like really raised the floor of Ugo's tennis, especially on clay. You just see that despite not having like the natural strokes for it, now Ugo is able to like rally just to the death basically if he wants to, and that's I think something that Shardy has to take a lot of credit for. Anyway, 30 love up already. Fonseca, one more unreturned serve. So again, his service games, the entire set really, they have been a breeze. And this is that big advantage we've been talking about. That essentially wasn't there for Joao just like a month ago. But since the Next Gen Finals, he's been serving expertly. And that's another great serve. So it's a game held to love. It's the opening set for Fonseca. Last 3 games lasted in total maybe like 5-6 minutes, to be honest. Yeah, 43 minutes on the clock only. I said earlier that this match probably won't be like 75 minutes long, that it will be longer. But I mean, if they are playing their games like this, then who knows? Anyway, yeah, 6-4. What can we say after this opener? I think it was really strong, obviously, from Fonseca on serve. And that allowed him to just like kind of keep piling up the pressure on Federico Agustin Gomez, who's not doing a bad job. I mean, definitely saving breakpoints. He's done extremely well, but Fonseca only lost 3 points on serve this set, and one of them was a double fault. So that kind of tells you everything you need to know. I don't think we're gonna get like unreturned serve stats, right, for this slam, at least not for the qualifying, but if we got that, I'm pretty sure we would also kind of realize that probably like 50% of Fonseca's serves are unreturned. And it's making a massive difference. Winners, unforced errors, like they're pretty close. But again, Fonseca had 7 breakpoints and only one of them was taken. But the pressure was on Gomez constantly and he was unable to produce anything on return. So that's kind of like the only thing we can really fault Federico Agustin Gomez for. Like, he's playing okay, right? It's just that the serve return advantage so far is pretty massive. But the last few games, well, maybe just the last game of Gomez was very quick. Maybe he is able to like hold on to his serve for a bit here and finally get some weaker game from Fonseca, which literally just hasn't happened yet, right? 43 minutes in, I don't think we've seen any real dips from the Brazilian. So maybe that's something that Gomez can potentially rely on in the second set. We'll see. We're getting some highlights on the screen of the opening set. Of course, that forehand pass on the run will be mentioned there. There's also that backhand that I was talking about. Very similar shots to like, I think there was a Federer 2019 Wimbledon one. Of course, that was a one-handed backhand against Rafa, but very similar court position and direction of it and pretty much everything, even though that Federer one was at the end of a long rally. Is it easier to do this with 2 hands? I don't honestly know. Ihan Bai serving for the match against Karatsev, but right now Karatsev has a breakpoint. I wonder what's going to happen there, because like if Karatsev survives, maybe he gets another day of rest, and yeah, there's a tiebreak now. Maybe he gets another day of rest and maybe he's actually able to keep going in this event. No idea, but he's struggling physically a lot today. So maybe it's just not possible for him at this stage to go back to back. Oh, wow, Lexi, thank you. I actually didn't know there was a way to do this on YouTube, like gifting memberships. But thank you, definitely. I thought it was like a Twitch thing only. Maybe they introduced it recently. I don't remember anyone using it in the history of the show. So you might be the first one. So congrats on that. Congrats on pioneering this option. And obviously, thank you for this. We appreciate the support. Anyone watching who hasn't subscribed already, we definitely encourage you to do that. 12K is coming up. I think during the Australian Open, we will definitely get it. Maybe not during the qualifying, though. I mean, yeah, I just said that Gomez really has to make sure that he's on top of this second set in terms of the scoreboard, right? That he takes the opening service game, that he's just going to keep holding, and maybe at some point an opportunity pops up. But now it looks like he might be in trouble again, as it's 15:30 already. And one thing that he absolutely has to avoid here is just falling down a set and a break, given how Fonseca has been serving. And oh, okay, yeah, that's good. Fonseca stepping in to take that backhand return cross court, but he hasn't quite done, like he didn't quite do enough with it. And it's very nice of Gomez to just punish that instantly. Goes backhand line, probably his best one of the match so far. I remember a few attempts that didn't quite pan out. And yeah, when he gets that opportunity to crack the +1 forehand, and when he gets that, when he makes that decision to run around quickly, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a massive blow, and that's what he does here. 40-30 for Gomez now. Cleaning up this game is just so important for him at the moment. You're going to have to do it on the second serve, though. Yeah, Gomez is just so, I don't know, it's like kind of amusing in a way, his ball bashing qualities, because almost no one plays this first forehand like this, I think. He was behind in the point and he's still curling this up, and just playing with so much spin and pace. He actually secured an opportunity for himself on the next shot, but that was long. So the point is eventually lost, but it's just so nice to see that sort of uber confidence in his shots. I think that's even when he was playing a little weaker a couple of years ago, I remember just thinking that he's a very fun player. That his ball bashing is something quite unique. He's also doing that with a lot of topspin. It's not flat hitting ball bashing. It's maybe like Basilashvili you could kind of compare that to. Although Basilashvili has that insane backhand too. It's not that easy to kind of find a comparison for it. But maybe I would go someone like Basilashvili because it's, again, not flat hitting ball bashing, but there's so much spin on the shots too. Well, he landed the line on the next one and had a game point, but now Fonseca gets him on the stretch, and that's not where Federico Agustin Gomez is going to be too good. As I said, when he's feeling confident, he's not going to play any defensive shots. He's just going to slap the ball from any position, which is actually somewhat related to the fact that he's not that good defensively, and extending the points doesn't make too much sense for him. And that +1 forehand is also in. He has the advantage. He's spreading the court with the forehand. Has Fonseca on the stretch, but the Brazilian is moving so well. Is it finally going to be too much, though? Yes. What a point from Gomez. 5-6 forehands, full power, spreading the court. Then Fonseca has that opportunity for a second to come back. But you see that ability from Gomez that I was just talking about earlier. Just, he seemingly should be on the defense after that Fonseca backhand down the line. But it's actually the Argentinian who is still on top as he just turns it around on a whim. At will, basically. He's able to add that pace whenever. And, well, that gives him another game point. However, he won't be able to take it as the laser return from Fonseca right on the baseline is tough to handle. It's a mishit from Gomez. One more very long game on his serve. He's up against it. And if he is going to win this match, well, I think that he really has to win this one. Joao Fonseca is sponsored by Microsoft XP. Microsoft Windows XP. I don't think it's that, but it's just pretty funny, I guess. A bit of an obsolete, system by now, but it's a legend. If you were born in the year 1999, like me, more or less at the turn of the millennium, that's probably the one you grew up on. But I'm assuming it's a different company for Fonseca here. Anyway, one more breakpoint for the Brazilian. Actually, the first one in this game. So I should say, well, one more breakpoint when we're connecting it to the first set. But the first one in this very game. And let's see. It's a deep return from him. And again, Gomez is just, he wants to run around. He wants to hit the inside in. He wants to hit the inside out. but there's just not enough time. And it's an early break for Fonseca, who's now up a set and a break and really, really cruising so far. Now the question becomes whether the service games that he had in the opening set, so basically just 3 points lost, one of them being a double fault, whether this is maintainable. Because if it is, the match might be over already. The Brazilian contingent in Melbourne is very happy right now. When is the draw? It's on Thursday. Thursday, 4:30 a.m. my time, I think. So that would be maybe 2:30 p.m. Australia time, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, it's on Thursday, and then later that day there should be the qualifying. Jaime Faria. Yeah, Jaime Faria definitely won today and proved the doubters wrong that he is one of these 8 players who can qualify in that section, especially now that Kukushkin had a shocker against Layal. But yeah, I mean, section 8 of the qualifying is just wild. And I think that every single player had chance. Section 9, sorry, it is. I think every single player had a shot there. Section 8 is that Jesper de Jong, Borna Goya one, right? Yeah. Fonseca is in section 12, and Coleman Wong defeated Dimitri Popko, so he is the rival awaiting Fonseca or Gomez in the second round. I do think that Coleman doesn't really have too much of a chance against Fonseca. Against Gomez, though, it will become very, very clear, very close, I think. Just like playstyle-wise, to me, like Coleman is kinda wants to do the same things as Fonseca, but just has way less like natural intensity in the footwork and overall power shot quality. So I just don't know really what sort of advantage he could exploit there. But Popko, at least, he would have had the chance of like being too consistent for Fonseca. It's just seeming, I mean, right now it's just looking like that's not really a path to beat Joao anymore, but we'll see. But yeah, Coleman Wong awaiting them. Wow, that's the first like really impactful return from Gomez at 15:30 on the Fonseca game. I mean, 15:30 from Gomez's perspective, so it's going to be 30 all now. But it's a return winner, the backhand down the line. What a great reaction from the Argentinian. And well, for the first time, he's got some pressure on the Fonseca serve. 30 all. I know it's not a breakpoint yet, but still. Tries to go for a very similar return forehand line, but this one is going to be wide. Federico Agustin Gomez trying to go for a backhand cross-court exchange with Fonseca, but he's gonna net this. So while he won 2 points in this return game, finally, he had that beautiful return winner down the line. It's not quite enough to put Fonseca under more pressure, and the set and a break has now been consolidated. The advantage of the set and a break has now been consolidated. Well, now once more, the depth from Fonseca is really strong. The thing is that like Gomez is trying to take all his shots early, aggressively, with a lot of power. But in a point like this, like it just doesn't work, right? You can't make that forehand line. It's just almost impossible when the shot from Fonseca also has this much velocity, angle, and spin coming at you. Well, now we've got the second serve return backhand winner down the line from Fonseca, and it's love 30, so Gomez again in trouble. 15-30, second serve. Last time he was serving on that side, he had that kick serve at Fonseca's backhand. And this time he tries to go at the forehand, but maybe, maybe it's the pressure of that previous point being indeed a return winner for the Brazilian, as Gomez double faults. And it's now 2 break points again for Fonseca, who's been, really dominating this match. There's there's no way to sugarcoat it. And if he gets that 2 sets and a break up, two set and 2 breaks up advantage, that's going to be very tough for Gomez to steer away from. Fonseca is kind of up in the point already. And can he claim it? Goes to the net. Gomez won't be able to make that backhand pass. Yeah, that's sort of open stance, backhand pass on the move. That's not really something that Gomez has in his arsenal, I think. Anyway, 6-4 free love up. 58 minutes in. Fonseca is in cruise control. I said that, after these 2 very long games in the opening set, I said that based on the pace that this match has been going in so far, I don't think this match will be like Canberra, where Fonseca had 75 minutes each, basically, in every single encounter. And, well, now it's kind of looking like it, that's for sure. 58 minutes, and we are technically just 3 games away. Of course, Gomez still has his chances to stop Fonseca from bageling him and stop him from maybe even winning this with a 2-break advantage. But can he actually get 2 breaks back, considering how strong the Brazilian has been on serve so far? Oh, there was a double bagel in women's qualifying for Xinyu Gao, the Chinese player who performed pretty well at the United Cup. Eventually, I think for the quarterfinals, she was subbed in the singles for Shuai Zhang, but she beat Beatriz Haddad-Maia, right? And one more player that I'm forgetting right now. Beatriz Haddad-Maia and Laura Zygmunt, right? Yeah. Anyway, 3 love up. I mean, this is a return that Gomez cannot be missing. It's a second serve return here, just a regular kicker from Fonseca. Nothing to I know I've been talking a lot about the Fonseca serve improving so much, both regarding pace and the placement of it. But this is just, if Gomez wants to have a chance in this match, he has to make this return. Well, this one, there's not that much you can do because, again, it's a smart serve from Fonseca, setting up the +1 forehand, and he goes in for the kill. This time really flattens out the shot. 30 love up. Still lost just 5 points on serve today. One of them on a double fault. Gets another good +1 opportunity. I was praising Gomez for that a few games ago, delaying the stroke and waiting to see where the opponent goes. This time it's Fonseca who does it perfectly. And is it going to be another easy game? Yeah, he kind of goes for a little more on the second serve this time. Gomez wants to attack it, wants to slap his return, but it's too quick, and it's 4-0 for love after just another 1 minute hold for Fonseca. Looks like this will be a very good start to Fonseca's qualifying campaign. Good serve, +1 approach. Fonseca this time unable to produce a backhand pass. So Gomez takes the first point. He is now really just, in a desperate position. Maybe we're going to see some even wilder shot selection choices from him, just anything to well, not in this game, but in the next one on return. Although, first he has to actually start getting these returns in, I suppose. It's been 7 service games for Fonseca, and he's only lost 5 points. Missing this +1 forehand Gomez as well. If he's not careful here, we might soon be in bagel territory. And it's a double fault for Gomez now. Well, you kind of have to question where he is, mentally at the moment, considering he's probably not feeling too confident about his chances to win the match. And as I said, he's a very naturally confident player. So, like, it's the very base of his game. So if that's missing, it's kind of tough probably to focus. Now they're in a longer baseline exchange. Fonseca going backhand line, has Gomez on the stretch, and as usual, that's probably going to mean he wins the point. So it's 2 breakpoints for Fonseca, and that bagel is looking increasingly more likely by the minute. That second serve was also quite deep from Gomez, but Fonseca gets it back, and I think at this point you have to see that. You have to kind of notice that Gomez is surrendering. Like this last backhand, I don't think he ever truly thought he was gonna make it. Well, it's 6-4-5 love for the Brazilian, and he's gonna be serving for the match after the changeover. The match very quickly died when Gomez got broken in the second set, I think. But even the first set obviously was pretty heavily dominated by Fonseca. If it wasn't for Gomez saving all of these breakpoints, it could have been over a little more quickly even. So I mean, yeah, it's just a rough experience today on the court for Federico Agustin Gomez. And yes, we have that on the screen, the title card, Joao Fonseca serving for the match, 1 hour and 4 minutes in. What a crazy second serve this is. Wow. It's like a lot of slice, but also with some kick. Great placement, getting Gomez out of the court. You just don't really expect that sort of an angle on the second serve. Of course, Fonseca is allowing himself to go for a little more right now, just like on the last point of the previous service game he had. Now a great one down the tee. Oh, 40 love, 3 match points. I mean, what else can you say? At this point, you can definitely see that Gomez is just, out of the belief. Like, he just doesn't think he can win anymore, which, he's probably right about. But it's especially striking as it happens to such a naturally confident player. And another great unreturned serve. I mean, yeah, this was probably the biggest disparity today. Of course, Fonseca was also better in the rallies, but yeah, he takes revenge for that Santiago match last year, which was a different Fonseca back then, that's for sure. And what can you say here? I mean, it was just such a routine performance from Fonseca. The first set, it looks pretty close, 6-4. But if you remember how it was going, Fonseca lost 3 points on serve in 5 games, and Gomez was like constantly up against it. I think he had 2 pretty easy holds. One of them was the third game of the match, and one of them was the one just before Fonseca was serving for it. But that just continued in the second set and like escalated. The serving from Fonseca right now is just like far too good. That the floor of his game is so high that I don't feel like he really needed to play all that well, or like we even really got him tested in this match. 4 out of 10 breakpoints converted, 17 winners, 10 unforced errors, 88% of points won on first serve, 85 on second serve. Gomez was just constantly, struggling to stay alive, struggling to keep up. And eventually that pressure just amounted to him being a little out of it at the end of it. Like you just see that Gomez is completely just out of this belief that he can win the match, out of that confidence that characterizes his game generally. And if Fonseca is going to qualify, he has to play 3 matches in a row. And he's just won Canberra, right? So technically there could be some issues with potentially, the fatigue coming up. He had the next gen finals, then a week of rest, okay, but then Canberra. It's a lot of tennis. It's a lot of great tennis that he's played. It's a lot of high intensity tennis that he's played. But if he's going to play matches like this, 67 minutes. I see my scoreboard has kind of died at some point. But anyway, yes, if he's gonna play matches like this, 67 minutes. Then I don't think it's going to be an issue. Like this is just as routine of a start as Fonseca could have gotten. He was serving far, far too well for Gomez to really be able to stay alive in this match for much longer than an hour and change. And he's moving on to the second round. He's going to play Coleman Wong there. He is still the massive favorite to qualify. So let's see how that situation continues. Aziz Dugas up an early break in the third set on Jesper de Jong. We've got Hassan up a set and a break on Mejia and cruising to the win. Kepfer, Buse now 1-set-all. Kopshiva was able to take that first set despite being 0-2 down against Lestien initially. But I guess maybe that's some sort of like medical problem, as I see that Lestien had some treatment done. That's what I was going to say. Still a lot of action from Australian Open qualifying. So make sure to follow this, guys. What else do we have here? We might do a watch along, yeah. And also, am I able to slice the ball properly when you play tennis? I mean, I'm struggling with the word properly, Nurlan, because I would say I'm unable to do anything properly when I'm playing tennis. But can I, at the amateur level, can I slice? Yeah, I mean, it helps being a one-hander, as we know. So, I slice quite a lot. I block a lot of returns of my backhand side. I slice it plenty of balls as well. So, is it properly? I don't think I do anything properly. Joao Fonseca does things properly on the tennis court. My technique is not proper, but in terms of like my amateur level, then I guess, yeah, you could say so. I'm not Stefanos Tsitsipas or Denis Shapovalov in terms of the one-handers that don't really have a slice to neutralize, because, yeah, otherwise, what am I going to do when someone is pressuring me into that corner? As a one-hander, you kind of have to slice. Stefanos, take notice. Of course, recently at the United Cup, he kind of had a pretty funny rant about his backhand being unusable. So he probably knows that by this point. And I think he should have realized that 5 years ago. And I'm sure he did, but it was just quite funny. Anyway, thank you to everybody who showed up in the chat. Thank you to Joao Fonseca for delivering another stunning performance. And as John says, we might have a watch along for Coleman Wong against Joao Fonseca. I honestly, at this point, cannot really tell you if I'll be on it or not. I think Eddie was kind of, he wanted to do it. If we do that, obviously you're gonna see it on the channel. No promises, but we will definitely have a draw show at 4:30 a.m. my time on Thursday. I'm also unable to tell you at this point whether I'll be on it, but it will definitely be there. And yeah. Keep subscribing, keep watching, keep talking tennis, and I'll see you guys some other time. Thank you, everybody.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.